Without further delay, let's welcome Khenpo Rangdol, and we shall begin lesson proper.
Bây giờ chúng ta sẽ bắt đầu cái buổi học thứ 5 của tác phẩm Gongchig, một con đường của Đức Tổ Dịch Sung Gun.
Okay. Everything okay, Jimla?
Khenpo, everything is fine now.
Okay.
Thank you so much, Khenpo.
Okay, yeah. Okay, so I will just begin my teachings. Dadulori donda mamenze mon jamba lore jagado kunge dan ne merin jamba je den zong gon ja ba gu ja ze bo zong do ba yan da ba me ne cholan choge yonde wo dan jage wo la zo gyondo jong ye nam ba gu ja good evening and good afternoon and good morning to all Dharma brothers and sisters. And so now we are already in 2022, the new year.
大家早上、下午、晚上好。
New Year celebrations.
现在已经是2022年新年，希望大家都有一个非常开心的新年庆祝。并且我要向各位致以吉祥如意的祝福。
And I wish you a very, very happy New Year. And so without delaying our teaching program, I think we managed to study it on time, which is we call it Switzerland time. I mean, really exactly on 6 o'clock. So we managed to start our teachings. I think the Switzerland timing is one of the most reliable timing in the world. So I think we are following quite good the timing. So that's also thanks to Brother James and all the participants also and all the translators that were managed to be on time. So without wasting our precious time, and I just would like to begin on the teachings on the text. So we managed to complete the 2 chapters out of 8 chapters. And so today we are going to begin from the 5th Vajra statement from the 3rd chapter, which is about the Vinaya. So I'm sure you will going to hear something very new points later on regarding the Vinaya. So most occasion, I'm sure many of you heard about the Vinaya means only designed for monks and nuns, nothing to do with the lay people. That's the what of the most of the teaching said, as well as, I mean, we common people also think like that. This is the only design, Buddha Shakyamuni designed for the monks and nuns. So as per the Jiten Sumgon, his the view, this is something totally different, which he proved with the many quotation from the Buddha's Sutra and Tantra, as well as also through some important reasons. He proved that is all the Vinaya, the rules are not only designed for specifically for monks and nuns. So later on you will get to know. So now the 5th Vajra statement is there are many who claim that the opinion that the essence of the vow is the mind of abandonment together with its seed and so forth is correct. So this is actually talking about the essence of the vow. So when we talk about the essence, what is the essence of the Vinaya? Example like what is the essence of the milk? actually the butter is the essence of the milk. So similar to that way, what is the essence of the Vinaya? What is the nature of the Vinaya vow? What is the characteristic of the Vinaya vow? So that is actually basically what means of the essence. So regarding of this essence, so there are actually different schools expressed in a different way. So here, actually, here that in the Vajra statement is mentioned that what do you call that? Essence of the vow is the mind of abandonment together with its seeds. So that is actually the view of the Chitta mantra. We call it mind-only schools, because there are the 4 major schools in India, which are Vibhashika, Savatantrika, and Chitta mantra, and Madhyamika. So these are the 4 major schools. The 2 of them belong to Mahayana, and 2 of them belong to the Theravada tradition. So this is actually the mind of abandonment together with its seeds. That is actually that is kind of like the point, the view from the mind only, which is the Chitta mantra. And the Savatantrika is similar to the Chitta mantra, but is only the difference is that the mind of abandonment together with its seeds is, we call this uninterrupted. So which means, regularly that kind of the essence will remain continuously. That is the view from Savatantrika. And then also Vibhashika is the essence of the vow is imperceptible form. That is the view from Vibhashika. So here Jiten Sumgun, he said that the essence of the vow is imperceptible form. The form is out of the 5 objects when we talk about the form and sound, taste, smell, and so these are actually the 5 form. So 5 objects. Out of that, the Vinaya, the essence of the vow of Vinaya is the imperceptible. So the meaning of the imperceptible means it is form because we can destroy the vow. So if we not manage to follow as per the rules of the Vinaya, so then we can easily break down the vow. So therefore, the meaning of the form means that which we can, it's kind of like destructible, which can be destroyed, which can be easily can be managed to damage. That is actually the meaning of the form. Example, we can cut the wood or any kind of things we can cut with the help of knife. So similar to that, ways. So with some kind of negative impact or ability emotions or negative the karmas, so we can easily break the nature or the essence of the vow. So that is the meaning of the Jiten Sumgwan view. So in Tibet, okay. So in Tibet, there are many. Okay, I'm hearing my echo. Okay, maybe somebody is on speaker. Might be if you are on speaker, then might. Okay, yes. Okay, now it's better. Otherwise, I could hear my echo. So the Jiten Sumgwan, his view is that. Oh, still there's some echo problem. Anyway.
Khenpo, I need you to unmute yourself again, Khenpo. Sorry. You please unmute yourself. Thank you.
Okay. That's okay. Better now? Okay.
Yes, Khenpo, we can hear you now.
Okay. Yes. Okay. So the Vinaya, the essence of the vow is we cannot see, we cannot touch. There is no shape. There is no size. So therefore, we call it imperceptible form. That is what the Jiten Somgon the mean to say about the nature of the Vinaya vow. So that much, I think, enough explanation for that one. And now the next, the Vajra statement is, the sixth one is, the people claim that both our perception and the entity are the principle, the points in all transgressions. So when we talk about the all transgression means, is there some disturbance? James, can you hear? Can you hear the same echo problem, or is it only for me? Okay, now it should be okay. Okay. So when we talk about the transgression means, that as for the Vinaya, there are some disturbing sounds are there. The transgression is that when we committed some kind of like the killing and the stealing and also telling lie, this kind of, the negative karma, we call it transgressions. Actually is same as the negative karma, but in the Vinaya terms we use transgression, which is the Tibetan we call is tungwa. So any kind of like negative karma we call is dikpa in Tibetan, and then any kind of like negative karma that which committed by the monks or nuns, which is in the Vinaya we call is tungwa. The meaning is same, but the words are a little bit different way of using. The here meaning is that the people claim that. So when we committed, example, any kind of transgression, so in order to complete the transgressions, it's need to complete four kind of like limbs. We call it 4 parts. The first one is that the object. Example, if we are going to steal something, first we need to know that we are going to steal something. So that means that. So therefore, it is the meaning of that, like object of what we are going to steal. Example, gold or silver. That is we call it the object. And then the second, the limbs is that intention that I want to steal or whatever, whatever. So I want to steal. That kind of like intention is we call it the second one. And then the third one is that we really do kind of like action, stealing action, like execute, So that is the third one. And then after we went somewhere to steal something, and then if we manage to successfully stolen something, that is we call it the complete. So that means completion. So these are the object, intention, and then execution, and then completion. The 4 are very important, the parts that in order to complete any kind of like transgressions that like regarding the killing or stealing or sexual misconduct or maybe telling lie, any kind of the transgression in order to complete. So it need to combine with these 4 limbs. Otherwise, any of them is not, any of them are missing. So that means it's considered as a less transgression. It's not going to commit it full transgressions. Regarding that, there are actually the 2 according to the many other the masters, and as well also the Vinaya text also mentioned that there are 2 types of the principle, the points. Some occasion the object are the most important. Example that if you are going to steal, if you want to steal gold, instead of stealing gold, if you stolen the silver, so that is some kind of what you want to steal. So that's already mixed up, So therefore, it's not going to complete the full transgressions. So therefore, in this case, regarding the stealing the occasion, the object is also very important. And then also regarding like the killing, if you don't have a kind of like intention of killing, without having intention, if you kill somebody, so you will get kind of like transgression. But since you are locking with the intention of killing, so you're not going to complete all the full transgressions. So therefore, some occasion, the intention is also important. Some occasion, the objects are very important. So therefore, the many people claim that in a certain occasion, the perception means actually intention, and then also entity means actually object. So these two are the important. There's a two different occasion. There's a two principle. The points are important for the transgressions. But the Jigten Sumgon, the view is that in all transgressions, it doesn't matter. Actually, all transgression means there are 5 the different kinds of transgression according to the Vinaya, the heaviest one, and then also the medium one, and the lower one, and the low. The transgression. There are actually 5 different kind of categories. So I'm not going to explain in detail. So all the transgressions, the intention is the principal point. No matter what kind of the transgression that you are going to commit it, so without intention, so there's no way to complete the transgression. So therefore, the Jigten Sumgon, he wanted to express that intention is the most important. The intention is the principal point, the key role one. You see that we call it the key role. Of course, the object are also important, and then the execution is also important. But the most important is that our mind, the intention. If you don't have an intention of killing or stealing or telling lie, so then any kind of that transgression will be becoming the manner one, not that the completed transgression. So therefore, the intention is very, very important. That is what the Jigten Sumgon, the view. Even the Buddha Shakyamuni, he mentioned that you have to tame your mind. This is the teachings of Dharma. So Buddha always talk about the importance of the mind. Once we manage to subdue our epileptic emotions, our negative karma, that our mind, so there's no other than that the Buddha teaching is. So therefore, Buddha always emphasize on the importance of the mind. So regarding that, actually, in the Vinaya also mentioned that if you become a crazy mind, example, let's say the monk or nun, if he or she distracted mentally, and he become crazy, or maybe become the fool or something, and then become in the state of the crazy mind, if he or she going to commit any kind of transgression, he or she won't get a full transgression because his or her mind is not stable. So therefore, the mind is also one of the key role in this the transgression, the point. So that's what Jigten Sumgon he try to explain. Okay, now the next the point is the 7th one is the people claim that the vow of the Bhakti Moksha are the 7 the non-virtuous action of body and speech, which are given up together with their limbs. The many people believe and say that actually altogether there are 10 non-virtue, the 3 from the body, 4 from speech, and then 3 from mind. Altogether, we always talk about the 10 non-virtues. I'm sure I don't need to explain each of them in detail. So I'm sure many of you know about that. So out of the 10 non-virtue, the people or many masters said that the seven, the non-virtues, which is the body and speech, are, it is very important to giving up. It is very important to abandon the seven non-virtue rather than the three, the non-virtue from mind. That is the what many other the master believe. They were saying that the three, the non-virtues from the mind is, it is very only important in the practice of Mahayana. When you are going to practice the Mahayana, the Bodhisattva Yana, and then of course the three, the non-virtue from the mind is very important, that you must abandon the three non-virtue from the mind, which is like selfishness, and then the intent to harm, and the third one is wrong view. These three are the non-virtue from the mind. These three are the very important to abandon during the practice of Mahayana, not in the practice of Vinayana. So therefore, in the case of Vinayana practice, we only necessary to focus on not to killing, not to stealing, not to telling lie, and then also not to gossiping, or this kind of the seven non-virtue is very important. And then the three non-virtue from the mind is you can commit it, and there's not kind of like big issue. It's only big contradiction in the practice of Mahayana. So that's what other people they believe, and they say like that. But the Jigten Sumgon is mentioned as already the previous, the Vajra statement talk about the importance of the mind, importance of the whole, the transgression is the mind is the principle, the key role, as already mentioned. Similar to that way, here Jigten Sumgon said that we teach that chiefly the three non-virtue state of the mind must be abandoned. Of course, the seven non-virtue from the body and speech is also important, but the must be abandoned is the three from mind. The reason why the Jigten Sumgon he emphasized on this one is because the three mind is basically talking about the three, the poisonous, which is ignorant and anger and attachment. Example, selfishness is actually part of attachment, and intent to harm is the part of anger, and then wrong view is the part of ignorance. So there are no afflicting emotion exists apart from three poisonous, which is three negative, three afflicting emotions. So therefore, Jigten Sumgon said that if you manage to abandon the three non-virtue from the mind, and then others, the seven which is from the body and mind, will be abandoned spontaneously. So therefore, we always try to focus on the mind, the non-virtue. That is very important. So that's what Jigten Sumgon, his the view is like that. So regarding that, actually, one occasion, so there's one, it's a monk actually. His name is the Zangchin. So somehow due to his attachment or desire, so he kind of like committed some kind of the negative karma. And then the Buddha, one occasion, he when he was giving a teaching in the assembly, so he said that, so why you perform such a negative karma? Didn't I share you to the teachings of you have to abandon the desire for desire, and desire for hatred, and desire for wrong view? Didn't I share all these, the important teachings that you have to abandon the three non-virtues from mind? Why you committed such a the non-virtue from the mind? So Buddha clearly, I mean, talk in the assembly regarding this three. It is important to abandon the three, the non-virtue from the mind. So that's the thing. Okay, and now the next one is the people claim that now the eighth one is the people claim that the vows are abandoned through death and so forth. Okay, in this case, the first it is important to know is that there are 9 different ways of the abandoning of the Vinaya vow. The first one is that abandoning the training. That means after you taking such a Vinaya vow, whether it become like Bhikshu vows or Sharmaniya, whatever you took the vow, after sometimes, if you know that, oh, I cannot keep anymore this vow, and then in front of any the abbot, any Khenpo, then if you really, from your bottom of your heart, if you just try to confess and saying that, oh, I don't want to keep anymore, I just want to abandoning the training. So if you do such a thing, and then the Vinaya vow will be break. So that's the number one out of the 9 causes. And then second one is that dying. So when we die, and then the Vinaya vow, it only lasts for many lifetimes. According to the Bodhisattva vow, so when we cultivate the Bodhisattva vow, we always generate that saying that, oh, I want to keep this bodhicitta of the bodhicitta until achieve enlightened mind. We always generate until we achieve enlightened mind. So that means the Bodhisattva, the vow can be remain for the life in lifetimes, but the Vinaya is only remaining till the death. So therefore, once we die, so then the Vinaya, the vow will be disappear or will be break. So that's the second cause. And then the third one is becoming a what do you call it? Hermaphrodite. This is quite difficult pronunciation for me. Becoming a hermaphrodite, that means actually having the sign of gender. So like very occasionally, very rare the human beings actually they do have a kind of like the 2 sign of the female and man, the sign of exists on one body. So that's the kind of the obstacle to keeping the Vinaya vow. So reason is that because there are different rules for the monks and different rules for the monks. So if one human, the body is having a 2 sign, 2 gender sign, so that means there's what kind of rules have to be to do practice. So that's quite difficult to do practice, So therefore, that's another kind of like the cause to abandoning the Vinaya vow. And then the fourth one is severing of the root. So that means, for example, like wrong view, like saying that, oh, there's no the Buddha, no Dharma, there's no vow. If you totally kind of like got a kind of the wrong view, so then the Vinaya vow also will be break. That's the fourth one. And the fifth one is the lapse of night. So lapse of night means is talking about the 1-day precept. The Tibetan we call nyene. So there are actually some occasion there's a 1 day the precept which is like 8 precepts that we mostly we take during the first month or 4th month. Only the full moon day we supposed to take that kind of 1 day and the precepts. So 1 day is the passing, then automatically that kind of the vow also will be disappeared. So this is the another kind of like cost or to of the for the Vinaya vow. And then the sixth, the one is the changing the gender 3 times. When you become a male, and then after that become a female, and you become again male. So if you keep changing 3 times of more than 3 times, and then also the Vinaya vow won't be lasting long anymore. So that's also another kind of abandoning the Vinaya, the vow, and that one. And then the 7th one is knowingly taking ordination before the age of 20. The Sharmaniya vow you can take after maybe 8 or 9 years old, so you can take the Sharmaniya vow. But in order to become a fully ordained, we call it bhikshu. In order to take the bhikshu vow, you have to be like 20 years old. So actually, I think in the country also the law of the many of the country under 18. So most of the kind of the government rules are not apply under 18. You know, so once you become 18 years old, then you become already adult. So I think similar to that way. I think in the Vinaya actually, if you are less than the 20 years old, and then might you don't understand all the rules, what to be accepted, what to be rejected, it's very difficult to understand clearly all the rules and regulation in the Vinaya. So therefore, in order to become the fully ordained, then you have to be 20 years old. That is if you are not under 20 years old, and then even knowingly that the taking that what I took, the Vinaya vow, so that's also another kind of the cause of abandoning. And then the eighth one is extinction of the teachings. So that means no more existing the Buddha's teachings. If the Buddha's teaching is totally disappear from this universe, so then our all the vow that whatever we took is going to be disappear spontaneously, because there's not the Buddha's teachings exist anymore. That's the eighth one. And the last, the nine, the abandoning the cause is the root transgressions. The root transgression means the killing. Killing means in the killing human being, not any kind of killing human being, and then stealing, and also the sexual misconduct, and then also the telling lie. So these are we call it like severe the transgression. Therefore, we call it the root transgression. So if you committed any of them, so then the vow also will be break. So therefore, altogether there are 9 the causes to be abandoned the Vinaya vow. So the people claim that the vows are abandoned through the death and so forth. So that which I already explained the 9. But the Jigten Sumgon, his view is that it is also possible that the Patiya Moksha vow are not abandoned through these causes of abandoning. The Jigten Sumgon saying is that there are actually the nine causes to abandoning the Vinaya vows, but some of the causes are not abandoning the Vinaya vows. In the case of like dying, you know, so there are actually some cases that there was during the time of the Buddha, there was one monk, and then he was bitten by the one poisonous snake, and then he died, and then after he died, he born into the higher realm, in the God realm, and then although he already died but still he has a kind of like notion of thinking that, oh, I am a monk, you know. So he could not got a kind of like desire to the pleasures of the God realm. So still he is keeping the vow of the Vinaya vow, is thinking that I'm still a monk, you know. Similar to that way, there are actually some cases of the Vinaya vow is still remaining even after someone is dying. And then also one example that when we committed one of the root transgressions, like there are 4 which I already mentioned. So if you committed one of the 4 root transgressions, so you will remain some part of the Vinaya vows. You're not going to completely going to read out all the Vinaya vow. So therefore, the Jigten Sumgon, the view is that still there are some possibilities that through these 9 causes is not going to abandon the Vinaya vow. So some occasion, so still the vow can be remain. So that's what Jigten Sumgon, his view. But there are actually many the reasons and many stories. So I mean, we don't have much time to talk about all the story. And actually, there are actually another the Vajra the statement. The root text mentioned that the third chapter has 20 Vajra statements, and then some texts mention only there's 18. That because the one Vajra statement is already included in this the Vajra statement. That one is the people claim that if one of the defeat occurs, all the vows are destroyed and one is incapable of continuing ordination. So the same as I already mentioned that any of the defeats means that the four root transgressions, any of the four root transgression, if you commit it, and then you are incapable to continue your ordination, means that you will be no anymore the monk or the fully ordination monk or nun, because you already got one defeat. Defeat means that one the transgression. But the Jiten Sumgon, his view is that we maintain something like the view that the person is a wealthy and debtor. Wealthy and debtor means, example, let's say, if somebody already have like, let's say maybe 10 millionaire, if somebody, one businessman, let's say, if we are owner of 10 billionaire, and then maybe he's already the 10 billionaire, and then if he already borrowed 10 millions from any others, the bank or anything, so he is wealthy person. At the same time, since he already have some debt from the bank, so he's actually the debtor. So he's wealthy. At the same time, he's also debtor. So similar to that way, what Jiten Sumgon is saying that if somebody committed any of the four transgressions, so because of he already committed the transgressions of maybe killing or stealing or whatsoever, so he is like a debtor. But since he's still keeping others the rules, so he's still like kind of the monk. So he is still kind of like example of like wealthy. So that's what he give an example, the wealthy and debtors. That is the okay. This Vajra statement is already included into the 8 Vajra statements. And now the 9th Vajra statement is people claim that if a single transgression occurs, the outcome of that falls will be nothing but falling into the lower realms. Yeah, that is the example. Altogether, there are 253 different kind of rules for the fully ordained monk, and then there are 300 something for the bhikshuni, for the female, the bhikshuni. So some say that if a single transgression occurs, so if you really want to become want to practice the Vinaya rule, so you have to practice all of them. If a single transgression is occur, so then so the falls of that, so you will going to reborn into the lower realms, which is in the hungry ghost or maybe kind of hell realm or animal realm. So there's no point of keeping all others the rules. So therefore, the better you try to keep all the better to keep all the rules. If you cannot keep, and then also even the single transgression occurs, so you will be going to born into the lower realm. So therefore, you have to practice all of them. But then Jiten Sumgon, he said that one attain the nirvana as the result of guiding a single vow. Because Jiten Sumgon, he is kind of where the explain is he tried to give a more kind of like the kind of like more the flexible way, And then many people are saying that, oh, if you want to practice, then you have to practice everything without missing any kind of the practices, and without having any kind of like transgressions you have to practice. Then otherwise you better not to practice at all. That's the most people they say like that. But then Jiten Sumgon says one attain nirvana as a result of guiding a single vow. Of course, it is the best way is that if you manage to if you manage to guiding all the rules which are like, as I mentioned, for the bhikshu, there are 253 the rules. If you manage to guide all of them, of course, that is the wonderful, you are the best way. But if you cannot, but even the practicing of the single the rules is also going to be going to cause to attain the nirvana. So therefore, the Jigten Sumgon, he said, he has one quotation that I would like to read what Jigten Sumgon, he said that, I'm very happy since one will attain nirvana. Jigten Sumgon said, I'm very happy since one will attain nirvana, even by guiding but a single vow. He says very, Jigten Sumgon said very clearly, you know, that even by the guiding one single vow, so someone can attain the nirvana. So therefore, so if we, the best way is that we manage to practice all of them. If we cannot, then still better to the guiding the vow is also better than nothing. So that's what Jigten Sumgon he meant to say. And now the 10th, the Vajra statement is, many people claim that the misdeed by nature is prohibited and not permitted. While for a misdeed by a rule, there are occasions when they are permitted and occasions when they are prohibited. Yeah, the Vajra statement is one of the most important. And there are actually, I'm not, in this whole Gongchig, I'm not going to talk about the arguments because one reason is that since we have a very limited time, so then if we start talking about the argument and then what others says, example, particularly on this Vajra statement, there are lots of argument and lots of explanations from the Sakya Pandita is in the Domsum. So there are lots of kind of argument, what the Sakya Pandita, his view, he tried to defeat the view of Jigten Sumgon on this particular, this one is very the important, the key point, the Vajra statement from the out of others Vajra statements. The first important to know is that what means of the misdeed by nature and the misdeed by rule. The misdeed by nature is actually like 10 non-virtue. The 10 non-virtue is, we call it the misdeed by nature, because it's applied for the everyone, no matter whether the monk or nun or lay people. So like 10 non-virtue, killing, stealing, any kind of this, the 10 non-virtue is applied for everyone. Everyone should abandon 10 non-virtue, no matter whether you are monk or nun. So that kind of the negative karma we call is the misdeed by nature. And then misdeed by rules means which is the Buddha, he make rules for the monks and nuns. Example like 253, there are rules for the bhikshu. So if you are doing some kind of the transgressions that which met the rule which made by the Buddha, so then you are the misdeed by the rule. So Tibetan call is like misdeed by nature is Rangjin. Rangjin means the nature, Rangjin. And then misdeed by rule means actually Cheba. Cheba and Rangjin. This is very important to know this, the two terms. What the people wanted to say is that misdeed by nature is prohibited and not permitted. The misdeed by nature is right from the beginning, it is prohibited and never allowed to commit it. So it's prohibited right from the beginning. And then also the prohibited and not permitted. The never ever the misdeed by nature is permitted by the Buddha. So it's already whether Buddha Shakyamuni appear on this universe or not. Since the misdeed of the nature is always there. So it's prohibited right from the beginning. And then the misdeed by the rule is so certain occasions. So there are certain occasions which already permitted by a Buddha, and certain occasion he prohibited later on, and which is already prohibited previously, and later occasion Buddha permitted. So there are actually sometimes prohibited, sometimes permitted. So in the case of example, like for the monks and nuns, we're supposed not to eat after lunch. So that's one of the rule. This is prohibited. But then one occasion there was one monk who was very sick, and then he didn't eat any dinner, but then his body became very, very weak. And then also then one monk actually reported the situation of the sick monk to Buddha, and Buddha said, oh, in this case, so if he is sick, and then he allowed to eat the dinner. So actually having a dinner is already prohibited, but in the occasion of this case that he is not feeling well, and then Buddha allowed. And then also some occasion actually the monk not allowed to touch the woman. And one occasion, what happened was that there was the one woman was actually fall into water, and then actually the one monk, he saw that the woman is carrying in the water, and then he just, because since the Buddha is already prohibited, not allowed to touch to the woman, he just looking at what happened in the situation. He didn't touch to the woman because it's already prohibited to touching the woman. And then later on, Buddha said that, oh, in this case, so if somebody is dangerous, in order to protect somebody's life, then of course you allow to touch to the woman, but without having any attachment. So Buddha, okay, like that. So there are many actually this kind of like stories, so which is already prohibited, but later on the permitted, and also which is already permitted, and later on certain occasion he permitted. So there are some cases. So therefore some people say that is the misdeed by rules. There are occasion when they are permitted and occasion when they are prohibited. But the Jigten Sumgon, his view is that misdeed by rule and misdeed by nature are the same. So it is the prohibited is right from the beginning, it is already prohibited, and then permitted is right from the beginning is permitted. So Buddha never made such a kind of like Dharmakirti said that Buddha never do such a kind of like we call it like what he called it full action, or what sometimes say yes you allowed to do. Sometimes if we say you are not allowed to do, then of course the Buddha become the crazy person, like become a fool. So Dharmakirti, he said that Buddha never do such this kind of the activities. That regarding this, as I mentioned that regarding what you call that eating the dinner situation is that, of course, Buddha said that first he prohibited having a dinner, and then later on a certain occasion for the sick monk, he allowed to eat the dinner. But the Jigten Sumgon, his view is that, of course, the Jigten Sumgon, the Buddha allow him, the sick person, to eat dinner, but having an intention of that I'm having a medicine, not with the attachment, So if the sick monks having an attachment, having a dinner with attachment, so that's again false. So that's also kind of transgressions. So Buddha never allowed to eat dinner with attachment. If the person, because of his health situation, if he eat with having a motivation that, oh, I am consuming this dinner as for my as like a medicine to survive my health. If he had this kind of like intention, and then his intention is very pure, without then combined with attachment, and then if motivation is totally pure, so that means it is already virtue. So that's not non-virtue. So therefore, Buddha never prohibited such a kind of like deeds that which is the pure by intention. And then example of that regarding, as I shared the story of that touching the woman, if somebody is carrying in the river or something, So of course, in the certain occasion, Buddha allowed to touch to the woman. If you are having a kind of like intention of that, without having attachment. If the woman is older than you, so if you have a feeling of that you are touching to your mom. If the woman is like younger than you, if you are feeling of touching to your daughter, if the woman is same age of you, the feeling of having touching to your sister, if you have this kind of like intention without, the attachment, that is okay. So without attachment, touching to the woman is never prohibited by the Buddha. So that is the what I mean to say. So therefore, the Jigten Songgon, his view is that the misdeed by rules, whether rules for the monks or nuns whatsoever, and the misdeed by the natures, the example, the 10 non-virtue are the same. There's no kind of like the differences in this the way. So whatever the prohibited is right from the beginning is prohibited, and whatever the permitted is right from the beginning is permitted. So therefore, Buddha already clearly mentioned that all the do not do any kind of evils, any kind of like negative karma. You should not do. That's the Buddha said. So any kind of the virtue, so you have to commit it. So tame your mind. This is the teachings of mind. That's the essence of the teachings of the Buddha. So therefore, the meaning is like that. I hope you understand. Now the 11th Vajra statement is, the people claim that the rules were only bestowed on those who possess the support for the rules, namely monk and novices. Okay, now here is the thing. The people claim that the rules were only bestowed on those who possess the support of the rules, namely monks and nuns. So I hope the lay people don't mind to hear this one. So might be some of you might get a little bit shocked about that. Sometimes, not sometimes, most of the occasion, all the lay people have the feeling that, oh, I'm a no monk, I'm a no nun, so I'm allowed to do any kind of things. So I allowed to drink, I allowed to smoke, I allowed to wear all this kind of ornaments. I allowed to do any kind of like entertainment. So these are not prohibited to us. Only those are the prohibited to the monks and nuns. So therefore, we the lay people, we can do whatever we like as the free men, no. So this is what actually the people believe, and even nowadays, actually, the many of the lay people, they do believe, or the people claim that the rules were only bestowed to namely the monks and novices. But the Jigten Sungwan, he said that the king of the three realms has bestowed the rules on beings in general. Yeah. So whatever the king of the three realms means, actually referring to the Buddha. So Buddha is the king of the three realms. So three realms means actually the realms of above the earth, which is referring to the God realm, and then the realm of surface of the earth, which is we human being, and then the land of the underground, referring to the Naga land. So actually, this three we call that is the three realms: the God and human being, and then the Naga land. So the Buddha is the king of the three realms. So he is the Lord of the three realms. So Buddha, since he is the omniscient one, then Buddha, he said that is the whatever the rules that mentioned in the Vinaya are, is in general means is for everyone. There's no excuses, and is for everybody. Whoever guiding the rules, so they will be benefited. And whoever, no matter monks or nuns or lay people, whoever, don't practice those rules, and they will be also get the same folds. And then the question, maybe I'm sure many of you might raise up this question, Or in that case, why the Buddha only mentioned to the monks and nuns? why Buddha didn't mention in the Vinaya these rules are for everybody? That might, the question will be, the question might be the rest up, and I'm sure many of you might think about that one. Here the Dharmakirti also said that, the Dharmakirti said that since the Buddha is the teacher of whole sentient beings, so Buddha has no near and far. So all the mother sentient beings are actually as same as like the family member. The Buddha has no nearest one and then the far one. So all sentient beings are same for the Buddha. So whatever, the Buddha, he has loving kindness and compassion. He wanted to be shared equally without, having a differences for the monks and nuns and for the lay people. So in his view, everybody is same. And then the reason why the Buddha did not mention those rules are not for the lay people is that, so Buddha is really skillful one, Example, we say like that, if there are 5 the kids in one family member, if there are 5 kids in one family member, so might be, if let's say if the 2, maybe 2 of them are really kind of naughty one, and the 3 of others was quite good, they are really pay attention to their parents, and if they are really ready to listen to their parents. And then for sometimes, and then parents always try to pay attention to the 3 kids, those who are, in the good conditions, and then other 2 are for the time being just they are being ignoring because of his or her the mental situation, So although actually the parents, they love very much to all of their kids equally, but due to their imbalancing of their their faculty sometimes, and then parents need to ignoring to the certain kids and more have to pay attention to those one. In some cases, like if there are, let's say, if there are actually maybe 30 students in the classrooms, if the 20 students are very good and very always follow the disciplines and really ready to listen to what the teachers are teaching in the class, if out of 30, if the 10 students are really doing naughty things and they always try to disturb in the classroom or something, and then of course for the time being the teacher have to pay attention to those serious students who really wanted to study seriously, and then others, the teacher have to focus to those 20 students rather than other 10 students who are not really interested in study. It doesn't mean that teacher has no the compassion or no kind of intent to teach to everybody. Of course teacher has, but due to certain condition, and then these things are happening. So similar to that way, so if the Buddha said that, oh, this is the rules for all sentient beings or all human beings, so the people cannot follow. Even among the monks and nuns, because the monks and nuns, the quantity is very small one. Even the monks and nuns, there are the few monks and nuns who can keep all the rules which mentioned in the Vinaya, as I mentioned, 253 for the bhikshu. Those are very difficult to guiding all of them in detail. So therefore, how all human beings can guiding all the rules, So therefore, Buddha are Buddha is really the omniscient one. Buddha is very skillful one. So therefore, he just accordingly, step by step, when they become a good positions, and then of course, Buddha is ready to show all the paths. So as long as they are not right positions, so then better to just leave it on their positions, better to live on their position rather than making them more more maybe offended or something, So therefore, that's what the meaning to say. I don't know whether it's make a sense for you or not. Maybe we have to think very carefully. Basically, all the rules means what rule means, which is to be what to call it that, which is to be accepted are like virtue, which are actually the rejected are non-virtue. Basically, the virtue and non-virtue that all we human beings or all we sentient beings, we have to apply the virtue, and all we have to abandon the non-virtue. There's no excuses, it's the same one, you know. So basically all the rules of the Vinaya means the virtue and non-virtue. So therefore, as Buddha mentioned, that all the virtue is supposed to the practice, and all the non-virtue is supposed to abandon. So that's in the brief way, what the Jiten Sumgon he meant to say is like that. Okay, now the 12th, the Vajra statement is, the people claim that the evil and transgression, the being that by nature or not are different. The evil is actually, the Tibetan we call Dikpa, which is, remember we already talked about the misdeed by nature and misdeed by rule. The misdeed by the nature is evil, and then the misdeed by rule is transgression. Okay, the people claim that the evil and transgression, the being that by nature or not are different. They are the different. Many people think that the evil means this is only this is only that the lay people, whatever they committed negative karma, that is evil.
那当有凡夫他就是犯下12业的时候
So the evil.
Las monjes hacen la transgresión.
Trên thực tế thì cái sự xấu ác và việc
That's what the people think like that. So evil is only the lay people, is applied for the lay people, and then the transgression is only applied for the monks and nuns. We lay people, whatever we do, we never get the transgression because it's only designed for the monks and nuns. So these are the two different. But the Jigten Sumgon, his view is the evil and the transgression are not different, but the same. The reason is that the Dharmakirti also mentioned one example. Let's say if the evil and the transgressions are different, and then is there a different way to go in the hell? In that case, it must be different. But the Dharmakirti, he said that if we committed evil, and then of course we will, in the course of that, so we have to born into the lower realm. If we committed like transgressions, then we have to born into the 3 lower realm. So there's no differences to go the different places. So therefore, there's no difference. Only the names are different. If the monks and nuns committed something, they just give a name level as a transgressions. If the lay people committed negative karma, then just give it as a evil. By nature, it is same. There's no difference. So the Jiten Sumgon, he always emphasized on the meaning of the nature, not by just the wording things, you know. As the last time I think I mentioned, there is some people like different languages we call sometimes like the water, you know. So even in English we call it the water, but in the different languages it's called something else. But actually is the water is water. Whatever we call in the different ways, but by its nature is the same. So similar to that way, the transgression and evils are the same. It is also very important to know is that the Jiten Sumgon, he did not say Jiten Sumgon does not mean that there's no exist transgression and evil. Of course, there are evil and there are transgressions, but by nature wise, those are the same. In the relative truth way, of course, it exists in the different characteristics, different classifications, and different definitions. But ultimately, so there are no difference. That's what Jiten Sumgon is meant to say. Okay, now the Vajra statement, the 13 is the people claim that since the rules depend on conditions, when that which is now prohibited by rules was still permitted, there was no fault. Since the rule depend on the conditions, when it is not prohibited by rules, still permitted, there are no faults. Okay, so the meaning is that people claim that since the rules are depend on conditions, since the rules are depend on the conditions, as we mentioned that Buddha first prohibited the what do you call that, having a dinner for the to the monks and nuns, and later on, due to the condition of the illnesses, so he allowed to take a dinner like that. Rules are depending on the conditions. When that the which is now prohibited by rules was still permitted, so some occasion they're still allowed. They're permitted means allowed to do certain things that which already prohibited by the Buddha. There was no faults. So even if you do something, there's no faults. Example, having a dinner is no fault because it's Buddha already permitted to certain occasions. But the Jiten Sumgon was saying that is we have to analyze, we have to examine that whether his or her the motivation is right or wrong. Having a dinner by the sick people, if his or her intention is still having a desire or attachment or hatred or whatsoever, and then that is also because of your having afflicted emotions, negative thoughts, then absolutely that is the false. We cannot just see the surface way that, oh, this is the Buddha permitted the having a dinner because of his physical conditions. It doesn't mean like that. Of course, Buddha allowed to take the dinner for these certain cases, but still the motivation has to be pure without having attachment. We have to consume as a medicines. Then Buddha never prohibited consuming a medicines, So if you are having dinner like as if you are consuming as a medicines, and then Buddha never prohibited taking a medicine. So like that way, so we have to have very pure intention, motivation, like that way. So the people say that even the whatever the permitted by the Buddha, so there was no fault. So that means having a dinner, touching to the woman, and then also there are many other conditions. So they think there's no fault. But the Jiten Sumgon said that in general, whatever he prohibited is inwardly prohibited. So that means actually right from the beginning, it's prohibited is right from the beginning. Actually, this for me is easier for. Whatever is permitted is inwardly permitted means whatever is permitted is right from the beginning. Buddha is permitted. That is what the meaning is said. The Buddha never do is the same as mentioned. We already discussed previously. This is also another. There is also lots of kind of argument on this the topic that from the Jiten Sumgon's side and also the Sakyapa. The Domsum, there are lots of argument on this also topic. So what Jiten Sumgon mean to say is that whatever is the permitted or prohibited is right from the beginning is prohibited. Whatever is permitted is right from the beginning is permitted. Buddha never behave like a full activities. So that's I already give an example on this earlier was a statement that regarding the touching to the woman, regarding the consuming the dinner, and then also there are many occasions. One occasion, actually, the monk not allowed to teach not allowed to teach the Dharma in the night to the alone one woman. But there was also some one occasion Sharipu was giving a teaching to the one called but there was one bhikshuni is called Paldanma. So, but then Buddha also said that since the Sharipu his intention is right. So there's no faults. So there are actually many explanations on it. That's the same as before we already explained. And now the 14th, the Vajra statement is, the people claim that for those who take the training, benefit will arise if they guide the rules, but this is not the case for others who have not taken the training. Okay, so this again is same as the Buddha already, same as Jigten Sungma already mentioned, that all the rules are the king of the Dharma. Like the Buddha, he made for everybody, every sentence, not for the particularly as a monks and nuns. So I think this Vajra statement is related to that Vajra statement. That many people think and many people say that all the training, all the rules, basically whatever mentioned in the Vinaya, if you take training, the benefit will arise to only particular the practitioner that who already taking the vow. And then also any other than the monks or nuns that who are not taking the vow, so there's no benefit, there's no useful. So most people think like that, even if you try to, like example, not to drinking alcohol, not eating dinner, not wearing ornament or whatsoever. There are many, there are small, the manner, the rules are actually, example, the killing and the stealing, those are the kind of like the major transgressions. And then minor ones are like you are not allowed to scold other, you're not allowed to use abusing words, and you're not allowed to digging the earth without having any proper reasons. And then also you're not allowed to throw dirty things into the water, and then you're not allowed to cut grasses without having any reasons. Those are the actually some manner rules that which is included into the 253 rules. But we have to think, carefully. Without having the vow of the monks or nuns, if somebody guide those things, whether we will get benefit or not. Example, nowadays many people they don't take dinner due to their health reasons. Some people they take maybe only a little bit, because of that. Having no dinner is actually, the scientists also they prove is good for health. So, but what nowadays what the people they do is that they eat heavy dinner and then they eat less breakfast. But actually, which is really totally opposite. It's supposed to be take less dinner, maybe without having dinner, maybe only having a soup is, I think, which is very good for the health. And then also, and then example, if you are not consuming alcohol, so it doesn't matter whether you are monk or not. Not consuming alcohol is actually you are getting a lot of the benefits to save many things. And then also you are not. You're cutting trees. Example, so cutting trees is also one of the big challenges nowadays in the world because of the unnecessarily cutting trees, and then also we are facing a big problems. So those things are actually, even many of the rules are actually, being a lay people, if we manage to guide those rules, I think benefit is the same for everybody. It's a benefit, it will be same for everybody. So that's what Jiten Sungman said. The people claim that for those who take the training, benefit will arise if they guide the rules. But this is not the case for the who have not taken that training, not taking the vow, though they don't have any benefit. But the Jiten Sungman, his view is that benefit will indeed arise through guiding the rules by any of the beings of the 6 realms, not necessarily to be a monk or nun. Whether you're a human being or hungry ghost or animals, whatsoever, if you manage to take all the training, I think the benefit will get the same thing, same ways to everybody. So in that case, actually, there was giving an example of the, I think many of you already knew about the story of these 4 animals, harmonious animals, elephant and monkey, and what are the rabbit and the birds. So I'm sure many of you know the story about that. That was related to the Buddha's, the former life stories, that 4 harmonious the animals. And then Yeah, you will tell the story, so we don't have much time. But anyway, so that's related to the Buddha's life story, and they pay respect to each other. Because of they pay respect to each other, and they decide not to harm each other. They really committed. They also make a discipline, certain rules among the animals community, elephant and then what do you call that? The monkey and those animals. And then because of that, I think that location was in Varanasi. And then also because of those animals, good disciplines, and then also that Varanasi, the village, become a very good kind of prosperity, and the rainfalls come on time, and harvesting comes very good because of this. The animals, they are disciplined, the guiding all these the rules. So therefore, even the animals actually, when they try to practice all these good things, and they will get also the benefit, then of course the human beings will get the benefit. That's what Jigten Songgon he meant to say. And then now the Vajra statement, the 15 is, the people claim that no faults exist when one transgresses the rules that were laid down for others. I think it's same as the previous one actually. So if somebody perform the faults, so they won't get transgression, you know. So because he or she is not monk, so it's only happen to be monks and nuns. But the Jigten Songgon, he said that the transgressions are the rule by any beings of the Sikhism is occurrence of the fault. Is the same thing, you know. Any of the Sikhs, if they guiding all the rules, they will get the benefit. Any of the Sikhs, the beings, if they occurrence the faults, so they will get the transgression is the equally. So there's no excuses, you know. So I think this is quite easy to understand both of this. And now the 16 is there were some who held that is the sufficient to guide the rules without having been introduced to ordination rituals. This is again same thing, because since we already talked about that, Jigten Songgon already talked about the importance of the conception, importance of the intention, importance of the mind. So then why we need to have the many rituals in the Vinaya? There was actually the certain occasions, there was certain occasion that some of the Tibetan monks, they went to India in Bodh Gaya. I don't want to take the Vinaya vow from the any senior monks. Instead of that, I want to take the vow in front of the Buddha Shakyamuni statue in Bodh Gaya. So therefore, some monks actually went to the Bodh Gaya statue and they took the Vinaya vow. And also in Tibet, also there was also there was some story that, oh, I don't want to take the vow from in the physical kind of like person. I want to take from the very famous the statue of Chor Rinpoche in Lhasa. So I want to take the Vinaya vow in front of the statue. So therefore, they think that the statues are more holy than the human being. So they're just ignoring all the rituals performance. The ritual performance means actually in order to take the Vinaya vow, as per the Vinaya vow, the minimum that has to be 10 senior monk has to be present during the procedure of the ceremony of the conferring the vow. So the senior, the monks are the witnessing that he or she is taking the vow, you know. So those are the kind of like rituals. So some people, so you see that there were some hold that is sufficient to guide the rules. It's not necessary to follow the ritual things. Just we can go to in front of the statue and then we can guide we can take the vow and we can guide the rules. That is sufficient. All the rituals are not necessary. We can just ignore it. We can just ignore all the ritual things. But the Jigten Songgon, he said that we maintain that the ritual is most important for the teachings. The rituals are very important. But there was actually one of the Vinaya, the text said that the Buddha said, after I enter into parinirvana, you must rely on the precept of rituals. So the Buddha himself, he mentioned, after I parinirvana, after I pass away, you must depend on the Vinaya rituals. So the rituals are actually very important, you know. Example, like if we take the vow in front of statue, but statue cannot communicate to us, you know. Statue will remain there 100 years, 1,000 years is there. But if we take the vow in front of the bhikshu, senior monks, at least then we will get some kind of like shameful and embarrassment, saying that, oh, if I don't keep these rules properly, or might I have to be shameful for them, or maybe I have to be embarrassed because of this, the senior monks who are witnessing that I took the vow, you know. So therefore, having the following the rituals, the procedures are actually very important. That's what the Jigten Sumgon is the view. And now the 17th, the Vajra statement is, the people claim that the concerning all false desire and especially hatred are great false, while not knowing is the less fault. Some people say that usually, oh, the desire is actually less fault, and the hatred is the the strong kind of like great false. So the non-knowing means actually ignorance. Ignorance is not that much. I think most people, we do think like that, you know. And of course, like in the Shantideva also mentioned in the 6th chapter of Way of Bodhisattva Life, there is no such a false like a hatred. So he did also mention that hatred is one of the great, or one of the heaviest the false. So therefore,
有些人这个无知或者是无明呢是过失较少的，可是吉恩松贡说不知道迷学霸或者是无知无明即是迷惑，它是更大的过失。
Of course, actually, attachment is actually as a kind of one part of the fall, and hatred is actually one part of the fall. But the ignorance is the one of the greatest the fault. So the Buddha said, you know, the attachment is very difficult to avoid, but it's less fault, isn't it? Attachment is very difficult to, because, like example, like we have attachment, like we have attachment to our own family members, we have attachment to our own property, but attachment is very difficult to avoid, but yet it is very less fault. That's Buddha said, you know. And anger is easy to avoid, but it's very heavy faults. Example, like the anger won't last for long. Maybe it lasting for 1 hour, 2 hours, maybe 1 day, 2 days, 10 days. Then after some time, then anger, it won't be last for long, but anger is also very one of the biggest or the great faults, because that's what also mentioned in the Shantideva. And then the ignorance is the very difficult to avoid. At the same time, it is very heaviest fault. That's what the Buddha mentioned. So therefore, is very clearly can prove that is that ignorance is one of the heaviest fault, one of the great the faults among the 3 poisons. And so this is the 17th Vajra statement. And then also it's not mentioned here separately, but there is another Vajra statement which is called, people claim that concerning the lower realm, the hell is the lower and the animal realm is higher. Some people believe like that, you know. The hell realm is higher than, and the hell realm is the lower than the realms. Animal is the higher, and then what do you call that? Hungry ghost is lower than animal, and then hell realm is the lower than that. So compared to the 3 lower realm, and then animal, the realm is higher or maybe the better than other better than other, like hell and hungry ghosts. That's what other people believe like that. But the Jigten Sungwan says that since the delusion is the greater among the animals, their realm is lower. Since we already talked about that, the ignorant is the greatest false, similar to that way. And then among the three lower realm, that which is hell and hungry ghost and animals. So animal is the lowest than the other two, the lower realm. So actually, we also believe like the animals, they don't understand anything. Even we try to say, okay, you recite Om Mani Padme one time, so you will be reborn into the Buddha Amitabha Pure Land or something. So they don't understand. Actually, in Ladakhi, we saying like that, you know, if we put sand in the ear of donkey, I don't know whether maybe it's might be is also having in the same in your culture saying like that. In Ladakhi, we say like that, if we put sand in the ear of donkey, or maybe we put gold in the ear of donkey, it doesn't make sense because the donkey cannot make a differences. The donkey cannot understand or cannot recognize whether this is gold or the sand. So similar to that way, actually, the animals is a kind of one of the lower one because it's fully endowed with the ignorant or delusions. That's what Jigten Sungwan says. Okay, now the last Vajra statement from the third chapter is this is also another very interesting actually. This is also very interesting one. Among this, the chapter of the third chapters, this 18 one is also I feel one of the unique one. It's something very unique especially for the lay people, and then also the previous one, I don't know which one which is mentioned that all the rules are same for everybody. That's also maybe something very unique one. And then also the one of the very unique one is that whatever prohibited is right from the beginning is prohibited. Whatever is permitted is right from the beginning is permitted. That is also one of the uniqueness of the Jigten Sungwan, the teachings from the Gongchig. So now the last one is the people claim that when one has taken up the training, it is serious to commit a fault, but that not to have taken up vow is without fault. And that's something very interesting. I think there are actually the master in Tibet, they believe like that. If you able to guide all the rules of the Vinaya, yeah, then you better to, it's good to take the vow. And if you cannot guide or if you cannot do the training on all the Vinaya rules, you better not to take right from the beginning. You better not to take the vow, so then you don't get to, you don't have a chance to get those faults. And if you take the vow and then if you occurring many faults, that is something very the difficult one. So therefore, better not to take the vow if you cannot guide properly. That's what most people believe like that. Yeah, but the Jigten Sungwan, his view is, it is taught that the faults of not obtaining the vow is greater than the faults of unimpaired vow. Okay, the meaning is that you better to take the vow, even though you break the vow, or even though you damage the vow, you still better to take the vow. But there is the quotation from the Vasubandhu, the mention that the Vasubandhu is mentioned. One example is that if there is one iron ball, the iron, maybe the small, maybe this size of maybe iron ball, and if you put on the surface of water, and then that metal will be sink underneath the water. And if that metal, the same size of the metal, if you just make it into the pot, and then if you make that metal, if you make a pot, if you put in onto the surface of water, it will floating on the water, is not going to be sink. So similar to that way, the Jiten Sumgun, he said that if you break he said that if you break the vow, if you damage your vow, that accumulating some transgressions, still it looks like very severe transgression. It looks like very heavy negative karma, but yet you are not going to be born into the lower realm. Like example, like the pot is a very big size, but still is floating on the surface of water, is not going to sink, because once you already took the vow, and due to some cause and condition, you unable to carry on, and if you break one day your vow, still you able to regret it about that what you have done in previously, and then maybe you will you can do like kind of like the practice of confession, practice that I not able to carry on my vow, so therefore I really wanted to confess all my negative karma from my bottom of heart. That kind of like confessing prayer can be conducted accordingly, you know. And those people that who did not take the vow right from the beginning, for them is they think, oh, this is I didn't take the vow, so therefore whatever I committed, so that is kind of like it is okay for me. So you don't get any kind of like you don't get any kind of like regretted, and then because since you don't have any kind of like regretted, then you won't get a chance to do the practice of confession. So therefore, the Jiten Sumgun said that it is obtaining the vow is greater than you receive certain the falls. So that's what Jiten Sumgun is meant to say. Okay, so that much. I think now the time is also over. So this much now for our today the sessions for the 5th session, and it's a complete now the 3rd chapter, and then next the Friday, so we will going to start teachings on the 4th chapter about the Bodhisattva vow. And I hope you understand something about this. The Vinaya is something like the Jiten Sumgun, where his explanation is something very different. And then it is very important that you have to really, you have to understand deeper way, then you have to study thoroughly. But I'm sure just by giving some brief introduction, I'm sure you might get some kind of like the meaning of the Jiten Sumgun's view about the Gongchig. So, okay, that much I would like to say, and then I will just do a short prayer dedication, and then hope to see you next Friday. Ona gondo bewara ejo doma jiten kamso jombala demba niwo jendo sewa dang tenzen bolo shidwe demba yuring nebe tashi sho. Okay. Good night.
Good night. Khenpo, thank you.
Good night.
Good night. Good morning.
Thank you. Khenpo, thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Good morning and good afternoon and good night.
Very much.
Bye-bye.
Goodbye.
Goodbye. See you. See you in a dream.
Thank you, Khenpo.
Thank you,
Goodbye, Thầy. Thank you, Rinpoche.
Brothers and sisters.
Goodbye, Rinpoche.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
See you.
Chúc chinh năng, chúc 先生 Happy
Study
Losa
well.
Happy
Happy
Losa
Losa.
Happy Lucky Losa
Okay, thank you. Thank you. Okay, thank you. Bye bye.
Goodbye.
Bye. Thank you. Bye bye. Thank you. See you soon.
Okay